You live in the library. Live in the library, for Christ's sake. Don't live on your goddamn computers and the internet and all that crap. I want your loves to be multiple. I don't want you to be a snob about anything. Anything you love, you do it. It's got to be with a great sense of fun. Writing is not a serious business. It's a joy and a celebration. You should be having fun at it. Ignore the authors who say, oh my God, what work, oh Jesus Christ, you know. Not to hell with that, huh? It is not work. If it's work, stop it and do something else.
Fear of the unknown, creatures of the night, timeless tales told forevermore, a chill of the spine, goosebumps and hair-standing terrors, candlelit, moonlit tales in the dark, or of broad daylight. Let's explore the realm of the macabre and delve into monsters within and without. Welcome to Macabre DeVille, a new podcast about spooky literature, with music brought to you by myself and Grant Howard. I am your host, Jackie DeVille.
And you're well on your way to being more creative, huh? The next thing is, get rid of those friends of yours who make fun of you and don't believe in you. And when you leave here tonight, go home, make a phone call, and fire them, huh? Anyone doesn't believe in you and your future, to hell with them. Huh? I've had my fill of that. I had people I thought were my friends, but secretly they thought I was a nerd, because I wanted to be a writer. I sold newspapers on a street corner from the time I was 19 till I was 21. I made $10 a week. This is back in 1939, 1940, 41. People came by my corner and said, what are you doing here? I said, becoming a writer. They said, you don't look like one. I said, yeah, but I feel like one. I was filling myself. I lived at the library. I never went to college. I couldn't afford to do that. But I went to the library 3 or 4 days a week for 10 years. And I graduated from the library when I was 28, You live in the library. Live in the library, for Christ's sake. Don't live on your goddamn computers and the internet and all that crap, Go to the library. Don't let them flim-flam you into owning all these devices. They can be very valuable and very good for certain kinds of things. Certain kinds of businesses, great. But I lectured at the downtown library in LA 3 years ago, and I signed the guest book, but the name above mine had been signed the day before by Bill Gates, the great technological expert. And underneath Gates' name I wrote, I don't do Windows. This is the highway, this is the age of communication, right? Does anyone ever call you, I can't get through to any goddamn person in the world. I call corporations, and the voice comes on and says, if you want this, press 1. If you want that, press 2. If you want this, press 3. I said, oh, press 4 and to hell with you. So we're being put upon. We're being flim-flammed. You don't need anything but a pad and a pencil, for Christ's sake.
That was the famous author Ray Bradbury giving a speech at the University of California. This was taken from that speech. It's available on YouTube on their YouTube channel, University of California Television. And you can totally check out that whole speech. It's called An Evening with Ray Bradbury, 2001. He talks a lot about advice for writers, but he mentions this story he had that inspired the main exhibit and topic of discussion for this episode. We're continuing our Fear of the Unknown series by talking about Ray Bradbury's short story, The Thing at the Top of the Stairs. Now, you may know Ray Bradbury from classics like Something Wicked This Way Comes, Fahrenheit 451, and The October Country, Dandelion Wine, The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles. He is a legendary writer. I'm a big fan of his short story collections and his novels, but he is a master writer. He's a master of the craft, in my opinion. But the story that inspired him to write The Thing at the Top of the Stairs was his inability to travel through a dark house to get to the bathroom. And he would have to run and turn the lights on before he saw the thing at the top of the stairs. And whatever that thing was, it always, took the form of something scary in his mind. He was inspired by old horror movies from the 20s, when 20s and 30s, when movies started coming out, silent films and talkies, as they were known then. Stuff as such things like The Phantom of the Opera and The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Lon Chaney. And he discusses how fear of the unknown sort of drove him to write that, how there's sort of got to be an absence of some sort to, you fill in the void, your brain fills in the void. And when you're in the dark and you're scared of what might be at the top of the stairs, you end up creating monsters in your head. And we will be reading the story in the exhibit segment of this whole podcast, but for now we're focusing on just that fear of the unknown aspect. For me personally, it was the thing at the bottom of the stairs, and that's why this story really hits home with me, because I lived in a house growing up in National City, Tennessee, where we had a really dark basement. It was like dusty and not all the way insulated or anything, or really giving heat or air conditioning. It was cold. It was a cold, dusty basement, and it was dark. And to get the light on, you had to have the light on at the top of the stairs, and you had to go downstairs and then turn the light on. And this setup was scary for me because sometimes I had to go downstairs to grab something, either out of a freezer or laundry or a toy. Sometimes I kept my toys downstairs, but it was mostly where my father worked, and I always wanted to go see what he was up to. And I'd go downstairs, and as soon as I got downstairs to look up and pull the little chain that turned the light bulb on, there was a spider that was on the ceiling right there next to that light fixture. And it would descend upon me with its web, and I could see it getting closer and closer as it got like really close to my face, and I would run away immediately. And my parents just had a field day laughing at me, or just trying to get me to not be scared of going into the basement, all because of this spider. Eventually, I think they brushed it away with a broom, but it was very impactful. The dark, scary basement's very typical, of scary stories. Even in the movie Home Alone, the main character is scared of a furnace in the basement. In the book House of Leaves, there's a staircase that's never ending as it goes down, and it just gets darker and darker and darker. And it's, there's lots of exploration of that idea of dark, cold, dusty basements, whether it be where the monster keeps their victims, or it's where the victims find the monsters in their own home. You pick. But yeah, Bradbury's story, The Thing at the Top of the Stairs, reminded me of that in my childhood. And it's interesting to see his take on it. after he gives that story in that same speech that you heard from earlier, he's talking about having to use the bathroom and running up the stairs and turning the light on and then going to use the bathroom. But he would always fail to do it because he was too scared, and they had to put a pot under his bed, and he was finally he got over it, I guess, because he was too scared of using the pot. But yeah, Bradbury is my favorite writer, and as I've called him before, he's like your favorite uncle of Halloween. There's the king of Halloween, there's the god of Halloween, the granddaddy of Halloween. I don't know who all those guys are, but Bradbury is definitely the fun uncle of Halloween, because he even has a book called The Halloween Tree. And I think around Halloween time we'll bring back Ray Bradbury. But for now, in this season, we're just going to stick to this one story, The Thing at the Top of the Stairs. It's very similar to the idea of that uncanny thing in the dark, whether it be under the bed, at the foot of the bed, in the closet, behind you in the woods even, or in the back seat of a car when you're driving by yourself. There's lots of places where we feel a sort of singe of like insecurity about our surroundings. And it's usually at nighttime in the dark. And it's usually, hidden away in some part of our house or a room or a car. Attics are also, haunted. There's haunted attics with ghosts banging around in them, basements with ghouls and courts to discover and stuff like that. It's kind of a thing in horror. Yeah, we're going to then talk to some buddies about what scares them. I want to know what scares you. What are some things, uncanny fears that you have outside of the normal, like, something bad happens to my family or politics and stuff like that, or like realistic stuff like the apocalypse and the diseases and catastrophe. Outside of all of that, what are some times in your day-to-day life or night-to-night life that you find scary? Is it the walk home by yourself at midnight? Is it when you get up first thing in the morning and the birds are chirping, but there's no one around and maybe it's too quiet? Or is it on a foggy lake where you can hardly see past your boat when you're fishing? I don't know. There's lots of scenarios I would like to explore with the guys, and I'd like to see how much of their fears are placed in the unknown. And it would be neat to get a take from everybody else about creepy basements or attics or closets and things at the top of the stairs or the bottom of the stairs, that we've all had in our respective childhoods. And we shall jump into that segment pretty soon here. The exhibit will be The Thing at the Top of the Stairs by Ray Bradbury. But for now, enjoy some tracks by Grant Howard.
I was filling myself. I lived at the library. I never went to college. I couldn't afford to do that. But I went to the library 3 or 4 days a week for 10 years. And I graduated from the library when I was 28, You live in the library. Live in the library, for Christ's sake. Don't live on your goddamn computers and the internet and all that crap, Go to the library. Don't let them flim-flam you into owning all these devices. I want your loves to be multiple. I don't want you to be a snob about anything. Anything you love, you do it. It's got to be with a great sense of fun. Writing is not a serious business. It's a joy and a celebration. You should be having fun at it. Ignore the authors who say, oh my God, what work, oh Jesus Christ, you know. Not to hell with that, huh? It is not work. If it's work, stop it and do something else.
And we all freak out. Look at the little guy. His name is Gary. I think Gary Lawson would be a good name, or Gary Craig. You know, Gary Craig. Gary Craig lives here now. This is our pet. We're gonna make him a pet.
Nope, I got my broom.